Justice for Tyrone Bartley!
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 Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edmund Anglero, spelled Edmundanglero, and I'm a member of Orlando Against Police Crimes. I'm going to start off by reading our statement, and then I'll have Brittany, who was the loved one of Tyrone, speak a little bit about what happened on that night of May 16th. Orlando Against Police Crimes strongly condemns the unjust murder of 32-year-old Tyrone Bartley by unnamed Orange County Sheriff deputies during a SWAT raid on the afternoon of May 16th, 2025. We unconditionally unite with the family and support their calls for 1. Orange County Sheriff's Office to release the body cam footage immediately and name the deputies who killed Tyrone, and 2. For State Attorney Monique Worrell to open a criminal investigation and charge the deputies responsible for murder. Similar to the case of Luis Lopez, who was also killed by Orange County Sheriff Office deputies this past February, the initial reporting regarding the incident does not tell the full story. A few weeks prior, deputies arrived at the residence located on the 5600 block of Lejeune Drive for a domestic violence call involving a roommate of Tyrone's. This investigation had nothing to do with Tyrone. He and his partner were asleep in a separate room at the time and had no knowledge of any police investigation taking place. Deputies seized drugs and guns from the other room and arrested 2 individuals involved in the domestic violence call. That is where the story should have ended. Despite the original call being for domestic violence and not related to Tyrone whatsoever, deputies used the seizure as pretext to return to the residence and obtain a search warrant and investigate. Like I said, I'm going to skip over some of the details about what happened on that night. I'm going to leave that to Brittany to cover. But the important thing I want to emphasize is that regardless of what went down, it is clear that Orange County Sheriff's Office has an unwritten policy of shoot first and ask questions later. Additionally, Tyrone's friends and family who are here gathered with us today, along with the broader Orlando community, deserve immediate and complete transparency with the events that transpired on May 16th. It is clear that the police narrative is incomplete and demonstrates a broader trend of local police acting as an entity that stands above the law. This kind of blatant, racist, unjust attack on our community members will unfortunately become more common under Trump's Executive Order 14288, which increases the size and scope of the police and prison state, expands the militarization of local police agencies, and places even more restrictions on if and how killer cops are held accountable. We need genuine community control of the police to hold killer cops responsible for their acts of violence inflicted upon Black, brown, and working class people here in Central Florida. Justice for Tyrone Bartley, release the body cam footage now, name and charge the killer cops, and community control of the police now.
They took a great man, a loving father, a son, a brother, the best friend you could ever ask for, the greatest partner known to man. You took that away from us that day. We lost an incredible soul. I've been stuck on that day ever since. While the whole world is moving on and days go by, I'm stuck on the worst day of my life. I've never felt so robbed and traumatized by people that are supposed to serve and protect us. On May 16th, 2025, between the hours of 2:20 and 3 p.m., the Orange County Sheriff Department murdered my life partner during a botched raid and search warrant for 2 roommates that weren't even home. They came into the house and bursted out windows of the home. The other roommates say they thought they were getting robbed. Now, if they thought they were getting robbed, imagine what Tyrone thought the day that he was murdered. I find it hard to believe that these highly trained officers of the law didn't see that Jano and Farah weren't here at the property, but then treated the rest of the roommates as if they were actual criminals that they came here for on May 3rd. If they took guns, drugs out of the same room they took the criminals out of on May 3rd, why not just charge them that night? The same night you confiscated everything. Instead of coming back, killing the wrong person, and then trying to cover it up. Also, why did you lie and say he was the only person at home when there were at least three other roommates here? Some of them are here today. Then they say he was reaching. Reaching isn't the same as having a gun on your person. They say the gun was later found behind the door. There was no gun behind the door. When I left here at 10:45-ish, that gun was in the closet, zipped up in a rifle bag in the back of the closet. There was no gun. There was no gun behind the door. That is why we need to see the unreleased footage, the body cam footage. To make it worse, I get home from work and the cops tell me I can't go past the yellow tape without catching a charge. So I sit outside for hours, watching them prance around like they didn't just kill Tyrone. Just prance around like they didn't break 5 million protocols. They wouldn't confirm anything to me about Tyrone. The roommate had already told me that they killed him when I pulled up. So now I'm asking questions and they tell me that all they can confirm is there was a shooting and that everyone in the house had been taken into custody. Clearly that was a lie, but I held on to any hope, any little hope that he was alive. I called every hospital, no one had him. I checked the jail database, nothing. Then another cop comes and says his boss instructed him not to say anything else to me and told me to go look on Facebook. I said, Facebook? I'm here live in the flesh talking to you at the crime scene. Like, what do you mean go look on Facebook? So then I go look, he shrugged his shoulders and walked away. So I go look online and it says a man died here at 3 p.m. Tyrone is the only roommate that wasn't here besides the two criminals that were not here from the beginning. They never gave up the first search warrant. They killed him, dumped his body right out here in the dirt, and pretended to do CPR, which is really confusing to me because if someone has a gunshot wound, why are you doing CPR on them? Pumping more blood out of their body instead of trying to stop the blood and calling the ambulance. Then later after that, they burst his car window to search it and try to add anything they could to cover their tracks and add more onto whatever case they felt like they had. The roommates also said once they found his registered gun in the glove compartment, they rejoiced. He does have his weapons permit. You were not initially here for Tyrone, so please stop trying to cover your tracks. You made a horrible, horrible, horrible mistake. Horrible mistake. Now please take accountability. Instead of painting this amazing man out to be the bad guy, just tell the truth and admit you made a mistake. This scripture is what I will leave you with. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of the world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Robert Fletcher. I live here. I've been staying here since December 2022, and I just want to start saying we're tired of y'all killing us. We're tired. This been happening on for decades. We tired, man. I mean, everybody have their own entities in the house. I pay my rent. I don't care what's going on in room 1. I don't care worry about with room 5. They came here and raided us like we all stay together. And it's ironic that the youngest guy, the guy that been here the longest, had to give his life for this guy to get out, for that guy to get kicked out. You know what I'm saying? It's sad. Instead of them focusing on one person, who they coming at, where they found the drugs at, they treating all of us. I'm 61 years old. I'm a retired truck driver. I got disability. They treated me like I killed Donald Trump when they came out. They wouldn't tell me nothing. I hyperventilated. I was treated like a dog. The boy that killed them 9 people in South Carolina church, the white boy that killed them 9, he got treated better than I did. I ain't do nothing. I ain't do nothing. We tired of y'all killing us. I'm tired. We tired, man. What are they gonna take? Some stupid stuff for y'all to stop? And then the people that's supposed to be, not prejudiced stuff, y'all need to say something. When you quiet and don't say nothing, you saying something. Y'all need to speak up, man, because it could be your child. Right. You know what I'm saying? It could be your child. Man, it could be your grandson. You just can't sit here and let people die like that. That boy worked at the railroad. Tyrone, I ain't got no children. Tyrone told me, he looked at me like a daddy figure. That touched me. I talked to Tyrone that morning before he died. I talked to him. We didn't know that was my last time talking to him. And he was saying, man, I'm having trouble between jobs. I said, keep your head up. They're going to get better. God just testing you. So I just came here to say this for Tyrone. I don't really want the cameras, but I got to speak up for Tyrone because he meant something to me. And I ain't know, I was in handcuffs from 1 o'clock to about 4. I ain't know he was dead. And I lived right in the house until around 5 o'clock.
So tell us what happened.
What happened, I was in the room just doing my thing in my zone, and I heard people, and they know Gino done got shot one time. They shot his car up. Then one time he went in the car, they shot his car up. So we were telling Kurt and them then, hey man, our life, this dude getting shot up. So when I heard them saying, I heard him running behind, I thought it was the street dudes at Gino. He done went out there and did something, and they after him. So I'm trying to get out the back door. When I got the back door, they had guns pointed at me, telling me to get down. I'm like, sir, I can't get down. I'm disabled. My knee won't. And they got me and grabbed me and threw me on the ground and everything, And then after they realized that it was a rooming house, I suppose, they started kind of treating me like a human being again. But at first, man, they treated me like I had killed somebody, like I was the murderer. And that's a rooming. Everybody got their own life. What goes on in room 1 ain't got nothing to do with what goes on in room 5 and 4 and 3 and all that. Tyrone and Brittany are good people. We don't sell drugs. I'm a retired truck driver. I moved here because I got tired of paying motel rooms, and it's cheaper for me to have them. When I came off the road, it was cheaper to have a rooming house. And, and things happened to me, so I got stuck here. But I ain't never experienced that. I broke recidivism. I used to go in and out of jail when in my early teens, early 90s. But I stopped that, and I never been treated. When I was guilty, I wasn't treated that bad. But I ain't never experienced nothing that. Now I have nightmares now. I'm still on my edges. When the door slam, I'm still jumping right now. And every time I pass by Tyrone's room, it's hurt, man. I just want to say that on Tyrone's behalf and the family and Brittany and them, man. He didn't deserve that. And we tired of y'all killing us. We tired.
Good afternoon. My name is Tyrone Bartley, Shereen. Last name Bartley. I'm Tyrone's sister. And they pretty much summed it up. But I need the world to know that they did not just take a good person from the world. They took a son, they took a brother, they took a father, uncle, cousins, and the list go on and on of the loved ones that are left behind. Nothing that I or anybody else say today can bring him back, but we as a family would like justice for what happened. Tyrone wasn't a criminal. Not to say if he was a criminal, this would make it right, but he wasn't. He was in this home. Now, if the police came to this home on the 3rd, they realized the setup of this home. Every bedroom is like a different apartment. It even has a number on it. So if they were in here on the 3rd to get whoever they came for, which had nothing to do with Tyrone, who slept through the whole thing, they already knew the setup of the home. They already knew that everybody was in their individual rooms that had different numbers on the door. This was not a one family dwelling to say, hey, if I knock, one person comes here, everybody is alerted. That was not the case. That wasn't the case. And yet still, I had to see clips from neighbors that you dragged my brother out here, dropped him right here in the dirt like an animal, and pretended to do some type of CPR. Okay, you pretend to do it. But I also saw the clip of the ambulance that had no urgency. So in my mind, which is why we need answers, I'm figuring that he was already gone. You guys could have taken the stretcher in there if you wanted to save him, but you didn't. He did nothing wrong. He was not who you guys came for that particular day, nor have you guys ever come for him on any day. While growing up, you know, black and brown people in my household, from he was young, my mom would say, be careful of who you hang around. Be careful of where you go, because you didn't want any type of problems. But what happens when the police kicks in the door where you live? When you're in your room, you can never tell a child or your younger brother, hey, be careful because the police might kick in your door even though you did nothing wrong. That hurts. That hurts. There's not much more for me to say, to the exception of, when does it stop? He's right, all lives matter. But why is it that these things keep happening to majority black and brown people of the world? I'm from Miami. Tyrone was born and raised in Miami as well. Same difference. The same thing is happening there. The same thing is happening there. Now, some people would like to say, oh, people grow up without a father in the home. What happens when you've robbed his 10-year-old daughter of her father? You robbed my mother of a son and me of a brother, and the list go on and on. When does it stop? Where does it stop?
I go by Ace Black, formerly Alvin Brinson. That's A-L-V-I-N. Last name Brinson, B-R-I-N-S-O-N. I'll start with, he who controls the narrative controls history. I'll start with that quote. First I'll speak on myself, and then I'll speak on my relationship with Tyrone. I am a member of this community, a leader. I'm a teacher. I work at a school. I'm also a tattoo artist on my off time. So I'm an artist. I'm a football coach. Needless to say, very much so a law-abiding citizen. I met Tyrone in 2020 at my tattoo shop. He had just moved to the city. He didn't really know anyone, and it seemed like he just needed a tattoo. He was going through some things, which I've definitely met thousands of people going through things. This was one of those weird situations where my client turned friend. This client didn't even know he was helping me grow this business. He came every other day. Me not knowing, he was finding a home away from here. I found that out later. This Tyrone, college educated, skills tradesman, community advocate, law-abiding citizen, sponsored, donated to everything that I had going on for these kids. For me personally, being a black man with two young black boys growing up in this community, I know exactly what he would have felt coming through from what I just heard about how the incident actually played out, because I never knew. But hearing some of these details, I lived in these communities. I've moved neighborhood to neighborhood because I have kids that have witnessed police brutality looking out of their window. They have witnessed too many travesties. So I stand here today to say my friend's history should not be tainted. It should not be thrown in a loop with whatever mission that they were on. This is a multi-family home. That is not the protocol for a multi-family home. Again, I'm as well college educated, and I'm a black man, and I fear for my life riding through these streets every day. My leg's shaking right now as more cops pull up. I saw them as I was pulling in, going into their trunks. I got nervous. We're at a pinnacle in America today where it's not about black and white anymore. It's about right and wrong. On TikTok, social media is an outrage right now on what's right and wrong.
Talk about two ideas that came up from the words of the friends and loved ones of Tyrone. And those two words are crime and terror. The Orange County Sheriff's Office showed up here thinking that they were going to solve a crime. But what ended up happening is that they committed a crime. They killed an innocent man in his own home for something that he was not even remotely related to whatsoever. And that in and of itself is a crime. And we know that when anybody commits any crime, any civilian, whether it's speeding, robbery, what have you, the police are chomping at the bit to send them to jail, to lock them up, to arrest them, make them face consequences, what have you. But when police commit a crime, we get nothing. There's no answers. Nobody knows anything. You got to talk to FDLE, and they'll tell you you got to talk to the sheriff's office, and FDLE will tell you go to the Citizens Advisory Committee. Well, we've been there. Orlando Against Police Crimes had been to the Civilian Review Board that is set up by the sheriff's office and the county government, the county commission. And each time we've been, out of the 9 members that are supposed to sit on this board and answer questions about policy, procedures, etc., only 2 of their members have showed up. And we have local leaders on the county commission and in other bodies at the sheriff's office. When something like this happens, they're sitting on their hands. They're saying we can't do it. There's a process, there's a procedure. You got to go through all these steps. But the fact of the matter is there's a family here, there are friends here, there's a community here who lost somebody. And they deserve justice. They deserve answers.
Commissioner Christine Moore was specifically asked to be here today. Do you see her?
I don't. Now, the other word I want to talk about is terror. You might see on our banner right here, it says justice for all victims of police terror. Last week, we mobilized for the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression's Day of Action against the Trump agenda and on the 5-year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. And a lot of people will sit back and look at, say, 5 years have passed, we were out in the streets, we protested, and nothing's changed. And in some ways, that's true. But the fact of the matter is that there's still a movement, there's still people that care about these things. And we are not going to let the city of Orlando, Orange County, the sheriff's office, the state attorney, to turn a blind eye on an act of injustice.
Right.
And so when the police come, when they gun down innocent people, trying to solve an investigation, look for something, that in and of itself is terror. The fear of having your door kicked in for something you didn't do because some guy in your apartment might have gotten in trouble with the law. And that fear of losing a parent, a friend, a brother, a sister, that is an act of terror. People shouldn't have to live in fear about having their life taken by the people who are told that we're protecting and serving. And so that's why we're out here today. We're going to continue organizing around Tyrone Bartley. We're going to keep pressuring the sheriff's office, the state attorney, and all the other forces that don't want justice. We're going to keep on fighting until we get what we deserve.